Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney.
So how come when I make jokes before we hit the record button, you guys are like, that was funny, but the moment we hit the record button, you're like, shut up, Johnny.
I don't think that's what I said. I haven't said shut up, Johnny, yet.
It's just part of the comedic dynamic. Like, Johnny, when you watch Gilligan's Island, you don't think they're actually mad at the actor who plays Gilligan, do you? It's just a joke. It's for fun.
Are they not?
No, buddy.
I feel like he's basically a dick. I heard Bob Denver was just like the absolute worst.
Maybe that was a bad example then.
Yeah, no. Like he was like the 20th century's Jared Leto.
Austin,
he always came to set with like condoms full of stuff. It was terrible.
Are you trying to tell me that everybody actually trusted the bee in apartment 23?
I have no idea if she's nice or not, but she's very good in the two shows I've seen her in. What is her name? Jessica Jones is her name.
Oh, yes, that's her real name.
I used to know.
Yeah, it's her. Hey,
Tatiana Allure.
That doesn't sound right, but I'll trust you.
That's not right at all. Kristen Ritter.
No,
I'm
pretty sure that's just my drag name. But no. By the way, if anyone who is a fan of Bob Denver,
I'm just gonna keep guessing, even though I got it right.
You didn't even pronounce that one. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, Bob Denver might be a perfectly nice person. I don't even know whether or not he's still alive. I made all of that.
Oh shit!
Hot takes on Bob Denver this week on Word Funk.
We should, I've said this before, but we should definitely start a feud with a celebrity. Just like pick one pretty much randomly and just start talking trash about them, because then when it gets back to them, they'll call us out and we'll get a bunch of traffic, and that's always good for the internet.
Is Bob Denver our man? Because is Bob Denver still alive?
I am looking it up right now.
He died in 2005. Although people would be like, you shouldn't speak ill of the dead.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think it would be great if he did give us a response. I mean, that would change everything.
Yeah, that really would.
Well, I mean, then the story is we discovered how to contact ghosts.
Right. I mean, I don't mean change everything about the show. I mean everything.
Or we would have a podcast that extended back in time. Like, did you ever see that movie Frequency? Or that TV show Frequency? Did you guys ever see... No? You guys didn't see the TV show Frequency?
Oh, yeah.
Or the movie Frequency?
I saw the movie Frequency.
Did you see the TV show Frequency?
I did not see the TV show Frequency. Tell me about the TV show Frequency.
It's very much like the movie Frequency.
Jesus
Christ. How did they step that into a TV show? How? It was easily... That is something that is easily resolved in about 90 minutes.
I don't know. I don't know if this is like... I suspect that Fox is doing this. This is a thing, I think. I don't know if Frequency is a Fox production, but, I mean, they did Fargo, right? Right? Yeah, Fargo. Good. Lethal Weapon is a thing right now, right? Right?
I guess. I don't know. But okay.
It is. There's a TV version of Lethal Weapon. And then there's more that they're doing. But, oh, God, my brain... I'm sorry, 2017 has really been nothing but, like, one extended headache for me.
Also for America.
I know! I feel sort of weirdly in tune for once in my life, instead of, like, standing on the outside and being like, ooh,
It has to get better eventually, though, right?
His headache, or...
Any of it, really.
Okay. I just kind of came to the conclusion. I was just like, maybe this is just what living is now.
Okay.
So we're not going after Bob.
Oh yeah, Taken. The Taken is a TV show now too. Did you guys know that?
Did he get? I've heard that someone gets taken.
Yeah.
Taken.
And then they go looking.
They do. Guys, did you know that Bob Denver was arrested for having a box of marijuana delivered to his home in 1998? He originally said the box had come from Dawn Wells, who played Marianne on Gilligan's Island, but he later refused to name her in court.
Dang, he turned out really cool, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I basically went to Bob Denver's Wikipedia page hoping to go to like personal life and see something like really trashy, but like the only thing that's there that's nothing to do with his work is the fact that he just really loved weed and how he died, and that's it. Well, he lived to be 70. That's pretty solid. I guess I really shouldn't talk shit about Bob Denver. I'm sorry, Bob, if you can hear me through the frequency. I forget what that movie's about.
He's probably smoking weed in heaven right now.
It was about a radio. It was about a radio that talked to the past. I can't believe that you can't remember this perennial Dennis Quaid vehicle.
Are you still on about frequency? Oh my god.
We don't. I mean, we can.
This episode's just going to be unintelligible, but I'm looking at Bob Denver's Wikipedia page right now.
Nice. I love that we're reading the same page.
He was on Roseanne in 1995, really, really late in his career. Fun fact, the person who is in charge of Magic the Gathering right now, Mark Rosewater.
What do you mean by in charge of Magic the Gathering?
He's like the creative director. He like writes a bunch of it, and he's like the face of it publicly. He's the one who's always answering.
Because for a second there, I thought they had like some kind of grand wizard.
He's the guy who says,
but like not that kind of grand wizard.
I'm gonna say that's a different thing. He got his start, like what Rosewater was known for, I guess, until he was the magic guy. He was a writer on Roseanne.
Wow.
So the lesson here to learn is, I guess, that it's never too late to change careers, guys.
I bet a lot of people in his life thought that was a step down, but I think ultimately probably it was a step up.
He has shown them all now. Mm-hmm. Some of them, because I imagine many more of them probably have gone on to other prestigious writing gigs.
Leon?
Like possibly writing for TV shows, like Frequency.
Okay. Bob Denver had a lot of range because he was on 4 episodes of Fantasy Island, and he played different characters each time. Like he was on an episode of Fantasy Island, and they were like, we got to get him back, but let's have him be someone else. So he played 4 different people on the show. He's like Jeffrey Combs on Deep Space Nine, where he just played all the characters.
Or Jeffrey Combs on Star Trek The Next Generation.
How many episodes was he in Next Generation?
Yeah, wasn't he in isn't Jeffrey Combs like one of the guys who has he's been in every Star Trek series?
He was definitely on Enterprise as Shran. He was a bunch of different people in Deep Space Nine.
I'm pretty sure he was in Star Trek Next Generation as well.
All right, well now that's what I'm doing now.
All right, let's do it! He was in Voyager. Okay, he was on Voyager. And no, that's it. All right, no Star Trek: The Next Generation. But he was on Deep Space Nine. He was on Voyager. He was on Enterprise, and also some video games. So remember, it's never too late to change careers.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I had my mic muted when you guys said Star Trek, so I'm back now. What's up?
I'm very excited about the new Star Trek. It just needs to come. Please.
I don't know. Like as time goes on, I'm delays and then losing Brian Fuller completely, and I'm just. I mean, my heart is filled with hope. I got nothing but hope for Star Trek. It would be really great for it to return to a format that gives it more time than just explosions. Because I only saw Star Trek Beyond recently. And it was, serviceable.
I thought it was pretty good.
It was
amazing,
probably,
but...
you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, it may have been actually my favorite of the new Star Trek movies because
I agree.
It seemed like there was a lot more room in there for unknown stuff and crew shenanigans, and not just oh no, explosions. Anyways, but yeah, I want to see something where they can devote 40 hours to border disputes. And then have a speech at the end that kind of goes, but aren't the borders really just in our minds? Boom! New episode! Star Trek Discovery! Fresh writer over here! But yeah, but even still, I'm just it seems to have been plagued by ghosts. Bad things. Phone calls in the middle of the night. be like, what's going on? It's like the Star Trek is calling from inside the house. And that almost never turns out well, you know?
Here's the thing. Like, when Brian Fuller left the show, I was like, oh, well, that sucks. But here's the thing. If the show never had Brian Fuller, I would have still been on board.
Yeah, true.
Like, so, I mean...
But here's the thing. Here's the thing is that, like,
yeah.
he did not... At first, he did not leave the show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. At first, he was like, he got hired on as the showrunner. He wrote like the pilot episodes, and then he was like, I don't have the time to do this. I'm working with American Gods, and then he's doing another one as well, like the Fantastic Things or Strange Stories, or you guys know what I'm talking about?
Tales. Yeah,
Amazing Stories. Thank you. And then, like, at one point in time, he was just like, yeah, they deep sixed me. Like, back in December, he was like, before that, he was like, yeah, I'm still executive producer. They still have my scripts, and, you know, like, I'm doing my thing. But then, like, back in December, he straight up told, I don't remember who, it may have been, like, Deadline or Variety or, you know, someone. He's like, yeah, I'm not in anymore. He's like, he's not there. He's not involved. So, that makes me sad. But yeah, I mean, you're right. You know, if they had just said, "Oh, new Star Trek," I probably would have been in too. But now I feel like I've tasted something like, I don't want to say gold because it just got a really weird image of me in a jewelry store doing something unsavory. But like, it's like I've tasted baby bok choy.
Oh God.
And now someone's like, "Here's your Guy Lan," and I'm like, "No."
Is that a person?
No, it's another Asian root vegetable. Commonly referred to as Chinese broccoli.
Okay. Well, there we go. So
I was just doing a little social experiment to see how long you guys could go without me.
I felt like I could keep going, but but I felt like you were being quiet because you didn't care about what we were talking about, and I wanted to bring you back.
Austin's made his feelings on both bok choy and Star Trek abundantly clear.
Yeah, there's those.
Okay.
There's also, I'm just reading a bunch of stuff to maybe talk about, and also looking for my law notes because I didn't actually bring a case, so I'm trying to find one real quick. But before we get there. I have other things to talk about if you guys want to.
I will hear your things.
You have no choice.
Right.
So if you've listened to this show before, you've probably heard me recommend one product or another by the McElroy brothers. They do a podcast called My Brother and Me, which just got me.
Travis, and the other one,
and the one who's bad at Nier.
Justin.
Yes. They just released the first episode of their TV show, and there's going to be more, like, I think tomorrow as of the time of this recording. So by the time you're hearing this, it's already out. But I've seen the first episode of their TV show.
Do you like ranchos?
So you've seen it too. I went in, I try to have, like, no expectations as often as possible, just because it lets you experience the thing on its own merits more. But I have to admit that I kind of deliberately lowered them because, I mean, podcasting isn't necessarily transferable to on-screen acting, right? And there's plenty of people who are professional actors who haven't been able to transfer from, like, film to television or vice versa, or from
stage
theater
to podcasts.
Yeah. So I went in,
which
like,
is a gap I managed to jump. Lucky me.
Yeah. But I went in like, okay, I'm sure they're going to do their best, but let's try not to hold them to, you know, HBO standards or whatever. But I really liked the first episode. I thought it was really funny. I laughed out loud, like, multiple times, which rarely happens when I watch, like, TV comedies.
Their natural charisma does a lot to carry the show. Like, the interplay off of them is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, they're just funny dudes, but one of the things that stood out to me the most was the editing, which was abnormally fast for this type of comedy show. I think it might actually put some people off, but I felt like it really added to the energy of the whole thing, because it was a bunch of loosely stitched together vignettes, basically orbiting around this tarantula thing. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's just a bunch of, like, tarantula related sketches essentially. But
or
yeah,
Rancho facts.
Yeah, ranchos. See, I'm cracking up just thinking about it now. But they're edited so quickly together that you never get like nothing ever outstays its welcome, which is kind of my problem with a lot of the modern TV comedy I try to watch. Like Saturday Night Live is like unsustainable for me. I cannot sit through an entire one of those because every sketch is like 8 times longer than it needs to be. And it just goes on interminably. But I felt like this had like a really great sense of knowing when they've got all the juice out of the scene, and it's like, all right, we've done it, move on. And I like that a lot about it. So it feels weird to say like, oh, the best thing about this comedy was the editing, but that really stood out to me, and I'm actually pretty optimistic about the rest of it.
Do you want to hear something tragic? Something like
that
will chill your very soul?
Is it that it's not available easily in Canada?
CISO is a United States only organization.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Apparently, it's not an easy service to get access to, although the first episode is on YouTube.
Yes, which is how I managed to watch it.
Yeah.
But like Jonah Ray has a show on CISO called Hidden America that I would love to watch, as well as there's an animated version of Harmon Quest that I would love to watch, and now this, and I would love to watch it, but they're like, get out of here, you Canadian scrub.
Well, I mean,
and I'm
CISO
like,
is...
but guys, the internet is for everybody.
CISO's owned by NBC. There's only so much they can do. You know, they're just a scrappy upstart.
Yeah, new kid on the block.
Just a Silicon Valley kids trying to make it in the world of NBC.
Yeah.
What can they do?
Just scrambling by with just their plucky attitude and whatever table scraps they can find at the socks of RKO.
Okay, so that's all I had to say about that.
That was a joke for the broadcasting aficionado.
Or anyone who's seen King Kong. That's where I know RKO from. Let's see here. I also saw Finding Dory. Have you guys seen that movie?
No.
Yeah. I saw it in the theater.
Can I say something though?
Mm-hmm.
I did not enjoy Finding Nemo that much.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was
fine.
okay. I'm not like Pixar sucks, but like, I mean, as far as like, the Toy Story movies, kind of love them. You know, they're endearing. There's something like childlike about it. I was like, woo, yeah, all right, cool. Never saw the Cars movies, but whatever.
Apparently, you don't have to.
Okay, Wall-E. Loved Wall-E. Thought Wall-E was great.
Yeah.
Really, really liked that. Even like Zootopia very recently. Enjoyed that. But like Finding Nemo? Monsters University too. Quite enjoyed that. But Finding Nemo, I was like, yeah, I can't even remember much about it. If somebody was like, what's Finding Nemo about? I'd be like, a fish goes missing.
Just as a point to our audience, because someone's racing through the comments right now. Zootopia is not a Pixar movie.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's
DreamWorks.
straight up like Walt Disney. It's Walt Disney.
It's actually Walt
like
Disney? Okay.
Yeah, it's just regular Walt Disney.
Yeah, sorry. Subdivision.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Right. It's the genus, but not the subspecies. Got it.
Subspecies is the weirdest Disney movie.
Thanks for saving us from that torrent of commenters there, Leon.
I can see. I have like a precog about people running to the comments about a specific topic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I usually like to preempt commenters by saying things like, "I don't care."
There has to be an edit of the Minority Report scene where that red ball goes down the chute, and it's like
Disney.
No, I was gonna say, well, actually, on it. And they just paste Leon's face over Tom Cruise, and he like sees it coming, and he's like, "No, no, what has happened?"
So with that in mind, Austin, how did you feel about Finding Nemo? Did you enjoy Finding Nemo? Did Finding Nemo come out when you were like 11?
I should check. I think it's fine. I don't really remember it that well, which probably speaks to how long it's been.
A fish goes missing.
It's been over 10 years, right? So I was a teenager probably.
Yeah.
So with that Sorry, go ahead, Leon.
Oh, I've seen Finding Nemo
recently?
many times.
Yep.
but only once in order. Because I saw it once just for my own personal amusement because I enjoy movies. But I had to many years ago when I was substitute teaching. Sometimes teachers, instead of giving me a lesson plan, will just say, show them this movie. I'm going to be gone for 2 days. Show this class this first half of this movie and this class the second half of this movie. And I'm like, all right, fine. And so I would show the first half. I was only there for 1 day, so I would show these students the first half of Finding Nemo 7 times. But like after time number 4, I was like, God, I want to watch the rest of this movie. He just keeps ending and he hasn't found him. So I took the rest of my lunch break to watch the rest of Finding Nemo.
And how did you find it?
I found it pretty good. I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just driving me crazy because I was like, is he gonna find him or what? So like, and then I watched the first half of it 3 more times, and I just sat there like, I know how this ends.
Well, it is called Finding Nemo. It is not called
that's what
not Finding Nemo.
But that's what he's trying to do. That doesn't mean he found Nemo. I mean, he's in the process of finding him.
No, he's in the process of searching. In order to be finding something, you kind of have to find it. You can't be you can't be like, I'm finding myself. Did you? No.
I feel like we're splitting something.
I feel like
anyways,
this is the part where I find that the Swedish name of this movie is like In Search of, but not yet having found Nemo or something.
Okay, with this very solid bedrock of the philosophical ramifications of using the word finding in a title.
Right.
Austin, how did you find Finding Dory?
Okay, so there's a lot that just happened there. I just wanted to say, first of all, I looked up Finding Nemo's release date. I was 12 when that film came out.
Okay. All right.
So maybe my recollection of it isn't as great as it could be, but I.
So you were starting to get distractionary boners then.
Distractionary is not a word, my dude.
You were still in the process of finding yourself.
Oh Christ. Where was I even going with any of this? They just added Finding Dory to Netflix, so I watched it. It's not.
Okay.
It's not like it doesn't. What I don't. What the what's the point of it?
I can answer that.
Okay.
My feelings about Finding Dory is that it's an important movie for children, especially children who are not neurotypical. As a movie, just as a piece of entertainment, it's okay. It's I wasn't impressed. But that is if you want a point, that's its point. If you want me to give like a star rating, I'm not good at those, but like 2 out of 5, and that's it.
I mean, I guess it's about like people with short-term memory loss, I guess, in the same way that Zootopia is about racism. But like Zootopia is.
So would you say it's a retelling of Memento then?
Jeez.
No, it's.
I don't know. I just don't think it leans hard enough into that stuff. It's not like, hey, everybody, respect Dory for who she is. It's like, hey, Dory's useful. Like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. There are movies that are like. It's less about like respecting the person and more like what people can do for you, regardless. But I feel like they were clearly trying to. I feel like they were clearly trying to help children who are certain developmental issues. Which is a huge goddamn spectrum, and I'm not trying to leave anyone out.
Yeah.
But
I don't doubt that it comes from a
like,
good place. Like, I don't think the people behind it were like, haha, let's misrepresent this. Like, I'm sure it's fine.
No.
I just, watching it, I felt like they were like, we should make a sequel to this movie, and then never actually got around to asking themselves, like, what they wanted to accomplish. So it just kind of comes off like Dory and her silly animal friends repeat some of the jokes from the first movie.
Adventure!
Yeah, I'm looking at the foreign titles for Finding Dory, and unfortunately, they're all pretty literal.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Buscando Dory. That's looking for. I guess the broader implications of this are, besides Toy Story, have any of these animation sequels ever been worth it? I can't think of any of them where I was like, oh, I'm glad I saw that.
Yeah, because, I mean, Monsters University was pretty superfluous.
Oh, I haven't seen it, so...
I haven't even bothered, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Right,
didn't didn't do much, didn't add much, you know. Like I said, I haven't seen any of the Cars movies. Yeah,
when you say animated sequels, are you just talking about Pixar, or are you just, can we broaden up here?
I'm mostly talking about things in the Disney Pixar style because a lot of them are like high concept pieces about like, what if the world was like X? Like,
right, so 102 Dalmatians doesn't count.
Because the idea is always like, what if toys were alive? What if cars had feelings?
What if we had one more dog?
What if... I'm saying in the originals, right? They set out kind of a like an interesting world, and then the second one's like, what if those characters still existed for an hour and a half?
Or what if they were the rescuers down under?
Okay, Rescuers Down Under is actually really good.
That was great.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I like this is the weird thing is I just thought of that. I was like, wait a minute. I think I liked Rescuers Down Under better than the original.
Also, Fievel. I like when he went west.
Yeah.
And also any other adventures he had.
But I mean, you know, Don Bluth. I don't know. Don Bluth did his own stuff.
I feel like I like Toy Story 2 more than Toy Story 1, even though looking at it like structurally, Toy Story 1 is like the perfect movie. but it is. It's just like it just hits like kind of all the right beats. Whereas Toy Story 2 has that one scene that always makes me cry. So it's like, fuck. I mean, I guess I like that one more if it can make me cry.
Is that the scene where Buzz Lightyear meets his dad?
It's this. Okay, you shut up. It is the scene. It is the song where Jessie I guess explains in her backstory, and it's just devastating.
Toy Story 2 should not work on paper, right? It's like, what if...
But it does. It's
what
so
if
good.
there was a female Woody? Like, it's kind of bad in concept, but the execution is really good. And also, I'm looking up the American Tail series, because I thought it ended when Fievel went west, but apparently...
Oh, no.
Me too.
He did a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, he was going on all kinds of adventures that I actually haven't seen. So
Fievel goes to K Street. Fievel starts an NGO.
I can't vouch for Treasure of Manhattan Island or Mystery of the Night Monster, so don't quote me. But I liked when he went west and then he went wester, which is kind of misleading because in the original he was going west, but it was not called Going West. That's the second one in which he goes west.
Right. I like to think every time we do Trial Corner, we extend the saga of An American Tale.
What are you even talking about?
I just sort of feel like, you know, like we're examining some important aspects about the creation of America, An American Tale.
Oh.
So, you know.
That I mean, you went for that one. I mean, I'll respect you just for the attempt.
That's a really nice way of saying that, Leon.
They're not all going to be home runs, Leon.
No, it's fine. You're good.
Okay. So, anybody else want to talk for a while I look through my notes and find a good case to talk about?
Do you got anything to talk about, Leon? I mean, I've been doing some stuff, but none of it's exciting. Like none of it's
okay.
You know, I've been watching Legion and The Expanse and playing the same video game for like a year and a half now, and I haven't finished it yet.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I need to budget my time better.
Yeah, I saw Split. I didn't like it very much. I appreciated certain things about it, but I was also like, I don't want to watch a movie that suggests like people who are damaged are superheroes, and if you are raped, there's a positive. It's like I don't want you, M. Night Shyamalan, to write this particular story. Maybe in the hands of someone with more grace, it would almost work, but I guess it just didn't. Also, like I was spoiled. The one thing that might have been cool about it is the after credit sequence, and but it was spoiled for me because people don't know how to behave. I guess it doesn't make the movie any better. It just would have been a neat moment for me. That's how I feel about Split. I'm almost certainly not going to do an episode about it. So those are my full thoughts. I also saw the Lego Batman movie. It was good. It was funny. I laughed a few times. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed its visuals. I enjoyed its humor. It's not quite as good as the first, but it's fine. You can actually watch the Lego Batman movie having not seen the first one, because it does not reference that stuff at all. Like
right.
I'm watching it like, does this take place before or after the Lego movie, or is that just unrecognizable? The only reference to it that was noticeable anyway was Batman mentions he's a master builder, which is something referenced in the first movie, and that's it. But it was good. It was definitely the best Batman movie in a long time. So there's that. I guess that's something. Well, it's also the first big screen debut of Condiment King. So
is that a real Batman villain?
It really is. That's kind of a joke in the beginning. I mean, I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but Joker says, "I brought all my supervillain friends," and he names like the 10 that everyone knows who are Batman's villains, and then he names like 20 who are in fact comic book Batman villains, but are like barely known people, like Killer Moth. And then after naming them all, someone says, "You made up some of them," and then he says, "No, really, Google it." And that was it. It was good. I enjoyed the movie. It was funny.
Is that really a spoiler?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I spoiled a joke. I'm sorry. And I spoiled that Condiment King shows up. But no, it does not have anything to do with the plot.
I think I just realized part of what bothered me about Finding Dory, and sorry to circle back around, but
go for it.
Everyone in the movie is really mean to each other for a lot of it. Like Marlon, the main character from the first one, is just like mean to Dory, and like the new like I think he's supposed to be like the breakout new cool character is like this octopus who's just really mean for like the whole thing. And then there's like these comic relief seals or sea lions, and they're just like really mean. I think that kind of maybe like soured my enjoyment of that. Like it was supposed to be like be nice to people who experience the world differently than you, which is a good and laudable goal. But a lot of the film just comes across like really mean-spirited. And I don't really have any way to end that thought. That's just something that popped into my mind here.
Okay.
I have law stuff, and I also had another thing I wanted to talk about. I also have video games that I probably won't talk about because you haven't played any of them. Where do you guys want to go?
I may have looked at some of them.
Yeah? How do they look?
The aliasing had been sufficiently antied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn comes out soon, and then Nier Automata, and then Mass Effect Andromeda, and then Persona 5. Like the next month is just bananas. So I'm probably going to talk about some of those. I'm still working my way through Neo. That game is I dare say some of it might even be better than Dark Souls. The combat especially is just much more dynamic. I find myself using like ranged weapons and magic, which I never really bothered with in Dark Souls. So I really think that game is worth taking into consideration, as well as Yakuza. There's a new one come out, Yakuza 0. I haven't played it, but I played a bunch of the other ones, and they're all not only great, but super underrated. I think people think of it, it's like Japanese Grand Theft Auto, but it's not. It's like half beat 'em up.
I hear the writing. I hear the writing is especially good in the Yakuza games.
Yeah, there's almost like there's two teams of writers on every Yakuza project. One team is just like weird, goofy humor, like a bunch of like sex jokes and strange allusions to Japanese culture, like they're the dating hostess clubs and like real estate markets and shit. And then there's the other half, which just writes an actual, genuine, cool like crime thriller story.
Yeah.
And then this should not work, but it totally does. Like half the game, you're just walking around, just getting into shenanigans, just like things that would be farcical, and should ruin the rest of the game. Where it's like he's robbed the bank and he's dishonored our dojo and he's kidnapped my daughter, please. And it's like I was just chasing a gimp through an alleyway, hopped up on fucking drugs. Like this shit, like what is the tone here? But it totally works. Yakuza is really cool and interesting. So that's video games. I'm definitely gonna be talking about Nier, like basically nonstop when it comes out in like 2 weeks. So gird yourselves.
I am probably gonna play it.
Oh yeah, it's coming to Steam.
Woo!
I wonder how much sense that's gonna make if you haven't played Drakengard or Nier, the other games that exist in that
Probably,
universe.
from what I hear of those games, probably just about as much sense.
That's true. Yeah, they don't make much sense even if you have experienced all of the stuff. One of my favorite quotes from Yoko Taro, the game's director, was like, I heard a lot of people hated the part in Nier where it became an interactive novel. It was like a visual novel. And he's like, so I made sure that we did that again. He's like outright trolling everyone involved in all of his projects 100% of the time. He's amazing. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I wanted to talk about before we get to Law Corner is I was reading some stuff because I have a serious problem vis-a-vis Magic the Gathering all of a sudden.
Whoa.
Yeah, I won't linger too long in the card game stuff because I know you guys don't care, but this is really applicable to game design, video games, and it's that they have in Magic the Gathering R&D, they have these kind of psychological profiles for people who play the games, and when they design cards, they like target these different profiles, and I think this applies to video games as well. So like the three main kinds of players that they design the cards for are so the first one is I'm just reading these off the site here. The first one's the Timmy, also the Tammy. They used to be single gendered, but now they have both. And these are people who just like the biggest, coolest cards. Like they just play. They don't care if they win or if they're doing like anything like intricate. They just want to do the cool stuff, and that's like usually kids who get into this. So there's like, oh, a dragon, like so they make cards for Timmys. So those people kind of get what they want from the game. And then there's Johnnies. I guess the female variant of that is Jennies, which are people who want to make like cool combos. Like they look through the cards and they're saying, oh, like this one interacts with this one, and so I can do this cool, clever stuff and win in a way that no one else thought of. And it's like, it's not about having the best cards. It's about like doing weird, cool shit. And that's kind of like,
I do weird, cool shit.
yeah, it's very you, Johnny. And then the last kind of player that they target is spikes, and that's non-gendered. And that's like people who play to win. They don't care if a card looks cool. They don't care if it interacts with anything particularly, if it means anything in the lore. They just want to play the best cards and win. And like that is interesting both in the Magic context and in the video game context, because like something in Overwatch, there are people like, well, who's the top tier character? I'm going to play that one because I want to win. And there's other ones like, that Korean lady drives a robot. I'm definitely playing her.
Crazy!
And there's other ones, well, it's like, oh, like my friend plays Zarya, so she can like drop the thing that'll pull people over the pits, and then I can use Roadhog to like pull people, into it or whatever. It's like all of these things are like totally applicable across multiple game designs. And we've talked before on this show about how like it's hard finding video games to recommend to Leon because you can't pin down what kind of gamer he is. Like obviously there are people who have been thinking about this for much longer and in much more depth than us. So like what we need to nail down Leon's like psychological profile, find out what he likes, and then target our recommendations more specifically. Johnny,
Leon,
do you like to win, Leon?
I don't know. I don't think that winning is important to Leon.
See, that's what this. We're getting in the meat here because you said no, but he said yes.
No.
Who knows?
No, I mean, do I like to win? Let me expand upon that.
Because you will quit. You will quit. You'd be like, I don't care about this, and like leave.
If I I guess this has layers. If I don't like something, I do not feel compelled to keep playing just to win. That does not interest me in the slightest. I do not care about winning against other people. If I enjoy a game and I find it challenging, I do find it very satisfying to win the game. But I'm talking about single player, and I'm talking about only a game I like. I'm not going to play a game I don't like just to win it, because that doesn't mean anything to me. That sounds like I'm investing a lot of time into something I don't like just so I can say I beat it. That doesn't feel helpful to me.
Yeah, he's not a completionist. He's not someone that's I've picked this up, so I got to push my way through it now.
Not only am I not a completionist if I don't like it, when I beat the game, it's done. Like if I beat the game and like Steam or whatever says you are 19% complete, all the things you could do. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm done. I'm 100% done. I saw the credits. I beat the one guy. It's over. I'm not going to go back and find trophies. No, that's ridiculous. So I don't know how helpful any of that was, but I guess there are layers to whether or not I want to finger quotes win. Next.
Okay.
like I don't know what else do you want to ask me.
Yeah, I mean,
if anything,
I didn't have a full like questionnaire ready, but the idea is that by isolating what actually matters to you, we can maybe figure this out a little bit more specifically. So a lot of this is based on multiplayer games, right? Because you need someone else to play Magic against. And video games are not...
I'm not even remotely interested in that at all.
So that's like an entirely different paradigm. So I think like the video game single player paradigm is like, are you in it for like the story? Are you in it for the aesthetics? Are you in it for the mechanics? And obviously you can be in it more than one, but like something like
I'm in it for the crunchiness. So there's that. What I mean by that is, how do I put this? In a very primal, I guess, kind of way, I like pressing a button and then something satisfying happens. If that makes any sense. Like if someone says, click A to continue this conversation, I'm like, oh, I don't. That doesn't feel like anything.
So but this is the mouth feel.
Yes, yeah. But if I click A and I have to click it a bunch of times to throw a bunch of, let's say, mines onto a building, and then I get away from the building, and then I press another button and it explodes, that feels good.
Okay. There's a long list of games that do that. At the top is Red Faction Guerrilla, and under it is Who the Fuck Cares, because Red Faction Guerrilla exists.
That's exactly the game I was thinking about when I was explaining that very thing. So it's not surprising that you thought of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say like I like games that are fun, because that doesn't mean anything. But it might be better to just explain games that I do like, and then like extrapolate from there. Like my favorite kinds of games are side scrollers where I'm shooting things and jumping on things. I like action games, specifically in the third person. First person is just awkward to me. I want to know what's behind me, and since I can't feel it because it's not real, I always feel like I'm looking at through a first person shooter game, like I'm looking through the hole in the door. Like like I can kind of see what's going on, but I can't see everything around me. Third person makes sense to me. It just feels right. Things I like. I don't know. I play so few that it's harder to narrow down these days, I guess. That's it. I mean, I don't have like an elaborate presentation to give you.
No, I'm afraid I'm gonna need some PowerPoint slides at least. That's just something I've been thinking about, because with especially games like Neo and Dark Souls and stuff, it's sometimes difficult to communicate what I like about them without just being like, it's really difficult and it seems to actively hate me, because that doesn't communicate anything meaningful. So I've been thinking about that a lot recently, and just about like what genres communicate. I keep hearing people call Zelda an RPG, and it's just not. It's
something, but I wouldn't go so far.
It's an inventory accumulation adventure.
But you like Zelda, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean, pretty much all of those games I've enjoyed, except the most recent console one for the Wii.
Mm-hmm. The bad one.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far to say it was bad. I just
was that Skyward Princess?
Yeah,
Skyward Sword. I couldn't get into it. I don't know. I felt like I didn't get that would be harder for. I think we talked about this before, so maybe I should just keep explaining myself again. But yeah, that was the only one I didn't like. Zelda generally, I really dig.
Yeah,
but then in contrast, I'm assuming that you hate like the Elder Scrolls.
Oh God, fuck that! I played I forget which one it was. It was the one right before Skyrim.
Oh, yeah, Oblivion was terrible.
I'm
Fight
around.
me! No, not you. I'm
just
just like anybody who was about to jump into the comments right there to try and defend Oblivion.
Yeah, the precogs say someone will. But yeah, no, I'm wandering around. I'm like, ooh, is that Patrick Stewart's voice? And then I was like, oh, I don't know. It felt like how do I put this? It felt like a program and not a game.
Yeah.
It felt like it felt like I was working, and that's not what I'm here for. I do like games that challenge me, because that like I said, it's very rewarding when I win. But it also has to be fun. Like Catherine is really challenging, but it's also really fun. I wouldn't keep playing it if I didn't enjoy myself.
but then here's another thing I'm thinking about is that there are people who most enjoy games in the form of like speed runs, which is so antithetical to how I enjoy a thing. Like I'll try to play as many games as possible and to absorb all their unique elements and then go find more. This person's like, this game is fine for me. I'm going to play this for hundreds of hours and just get really good at just this. And it's like, we're both fans of the same art form, but we couldn't be more different or want more different things out of it. And I don't know that exists in non-interactive media so much. Like, obviously there are people who are like, I like horror movies, but it's not like they hate action movies and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there seems to be more crossover where in video games people can take entirely different things from it. I don't know that there's necessarily a big point to any of this conversation. It's just something on my mind.
Well, I was hoping for a revelation, Austin.
Yeah. I guess the revelation is that
now I feel empty.
Everyone should like the video games I like, because then they'll be very popular and they'll make more of them. So
aren't they?
Do that for me. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I've been super lucky. All the series I love are either resurging or have always been popular. I feel like Fire Emblem,
you're getting
Pokemon.
You're getting way more Dark Soulsy kind of stuff, and all those like Japanese RPGs.
Yeah, the RPGs
that you've done playing, they are also, I feel like they're more international than ever now. Because everybody loves them RPGs.
Yeah, it's in art right now. It's a pretty good time to be me. Maybe not in a lot of other realms, but do you guys want to talk about America's legal system, which is in no way a transition from that thought?
Okay. Sure. Why not?
Okie dokie here. That
wasn't very enthusiastic. I'm sorry. Let's do it.
Yikes.
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
I went too far that time. I couldn't find a happy medium. Oh well. Go ahead, Boston.
Yeah, I should do more like exciting criminal ones. Most of them are either like really simple or like too dark and grisly. So here's a contracts one. So this guy and his wife and their kids, they live in, I think, Arkansas, and the husband dies. Then his brother, who lives in another state, I think Alabama, sends a letter to the widow saying, you can come and live with me. Bring your kids. I have a bunch of land. Just like, come on over and chill.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah, so she does. She abandons her life there, like everything she has basically, and takes her kids over to her dead husband's brother's house.
Yep.
Where they live for about 2 years.
Does this end creepy?
No.
Okay, good.
After about 2 years, the brother says, can you move to this other house I have in my land? It's not as good, and it's farther away, but it's mine, so do it. And then like another year passes, and he says, leave. Please leave.
Wait. Does he say leave, or does he say, get off my land?
I feel like that's very important.
It is not specified. And,
okay.
And,
darn it.
And legally, not sure it's relevant. But the idea is that he invited her, she stayed for a bit, and then he asked her to leave. But so she sues him to be allowed to stay there, even though she doesn't own any of that, any of the land or any of the buildings on it.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
Well, haven't we established earlier that there are like a lot of ways to say that I basically live here, regardless of like property, like having the deed to the place or not. I mean,
but he did move them around.
Yeah, I think if you're referring to adverse possession, where if you can just go on somebody else's land and live there until it's yours, you have to do that against their will. If you invite them, that explicitly bars you from using adverse possession.
Yeah,
because it's not adverse.
There's no consideration here either, because we've been talking a lot about that recently.
I'm just saying
learning
that, like,
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that there seems to be a lot of loopholes into living somewhere, even if you don't own it. In this case, isn't there what is it called?
Free man of the land?
No, I'm struggling for the term and for what exactly it entails, but it has something to do with if you've lived at a certain place at a certain amount of time.
Are you trying to think like common law marriage, but for land?
Yeah, well, well, I hope they're not.
I've been here for a while, so obviously.
Oh God, but no, we mentioned it did not end creepy, so let's assume there is no common law marriage.
I was worried it was going to end creepy.
No, it just kind of ended rude, and like the context of a lot of this is.
Hey, she lived on this land. The family lived on this land for how many years?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, like, I feel for the guy because it's like, I feel like this is the beginning of the movie Rent. Where it's like, you lived here for free for a long time. Only now are you going to be treated like, someone who's basically a tenant. You should just be happy you got this much. Here's my question though.
Okay.
Here's my question. When the guy said, "Hey, come live here with me instead," what I understand, like her husband died. What was her exact living situation like prior to that? Like, did she have full ownership of the current house? Like,
no. So this is in a time in American history where a bunch of land was unsettled, and there was this kind of program where if you went and settled somewhere you lived there for a certain period of time, you could then buy it from the government for cheap. Mm-hmm. So by like abandoning her old house, she was giving up on that project. So if she had stayed there, she eventually could have bought the land.
Right.
But
well, that's sort of my concern here, because he's not just asking he's not just asking a stranger to leave his property. What happened is she specifically gave up something under the promise that she would have a new place to live. She lost something in this transaction.
Yeah, which is why, as Johnny said, there consideration is definitely a thing to think about. And I would argue she gave up her life, and he gave up part of his land, and then there was a serious consideration and exchange. So I think this is a contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to
in my mind
chocolate right now.
Wow. Okay. I feel like she should be able to stay, because that seemed to be part of like like you said, the contract. But I also feel like I bet this ends badly. That's kind of how I feel.
It's coffee flavored.
What are you doing, Johnny? What is this? What is? Did I like miss like a part of this conversation?
He's just eating candy. That's the whole thing.
I'm eating a thinking chocolate, Leon.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if this was in any way related to what we were talking about, or were you just setting up like a subplot where you were eating candy?
This episode is hallucinogenic.
I am developing some character depth here. Okay. Can you let me have a moment, please?
Yeah.
Are you Brad Pitting it?
This is his new character, like, eating Johnny who eats stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't have anything further to say. I feel like she gave up her life in order to live here under the arrangement that she could stay, and that she should be able to. But I also feel like, Jesus Christ, that is a huge. I mean, Did he say for life?
No,
because that's a lifetime commitment
Yeah.
that you're.
Could women own land back in the time in those days?
Oh gosh.
I think, but it's not really relevant. Leon actually hit on what wins or loses this case.
That's.
Yeah.
Look. All right. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's say a friend of mine needs a place to stay. Like their house burned down, and I'm like, I have a spare in Bedford, which is true. You can just live in there until but not forever.
You
if
can
she
come
decided
stay
to-
with me for a while.
Right. If she decided to live here forever, I feel like I would be in my rights to say, you got to go. We're not married. We're not a thing. You got to leave now. I mean, I'll help you. I'll help you move because I'm not a jerk. But you can't. This isn't forever. Yeah. I feel really bad for the lady. For a lot of reasons, she lost her husband and then all this. But I also feel like the landowner doesn't have to let her stay forever. I feel like he should try to help her get a place, and then. I mean that's less of a legal thing, more is like moral. Like you should try to be nice about this. But yeah, I feel like she's gonna get the boot.
Johnny,
and I don't feel like anyone really wins in this situation in a sense. Oh well.
My cynicism was winning until Leon pointed out that it was like, I guess you are kind of giving something up. But
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't Yeah, I'm afraid I gotta say that in the end, the landowner probably comes out ahead on this. The dead man's brother.
Yeah, I feel. I just realized how I would get rid of someone who decided to stay and refuse to leave, and the law found in their favor. I would just let the lease expire. I mean, I rent, so I would just leave and let them have to deal with it. That seems fair. And if they can afford it, then they can. And if they can afford it, like one of their own, then they can stay. And if they can, then that's their problem. I mean, I can live anywhere. I don't care. I've moved like so many times,
Yeah.
wherever I
Also,
lay my
you're
head.
renting, and in this example, it's his land, so you
Yeah,
can't just let the lease expire.
yeah, right. No, I understand. I was just in my head. I was like, oh my god, what if I do that? What if I'm nice one day?
Someday.
Anyway.
So the way this comes out is the landowner wins, because there was a contract. She gave up stuff, and he gave up stuff, and then they exchanged stuff. That was real. But just because you don't specify a time frame doesn't mean it's forever. And he did give her a place to live, so he held up his end of the deal, and it's his land, so he can't expel people who are trespassing.
Okay.
So actually, at the trial court, she ends up getting some money from him. I guess like Leon said, travel costs or whatever to like get a new life.
Nice.
But then on appeal, those get taken away.
Oh, jeez. I would have just done it.
So then the kids have to go work in the radio mines and
Yep, just digging up those RKOs.
trying to find the right frequency.
This episode is a fever dream. One other case I have here that I think might be fun to talk about. So here's a guy. He
I'm with you so far.
okay.
I'm listening.
He owns a building. He has that building insured. The period of the insurance runs out, so the insurer sends a note saying, "We're going to renew your policy unless notified to the contrary." So he does not answer that.
Okay.
He does.
So automatic renewal.
Well, this is before automatic renewal exists because it's before
Okay.
electronics and like email
Right.
stuff. So this is old-timey time.
Oh.
The letter they sent him specifically says, unless notified to the contrary. I have that written down because I found it particularly important.
Right.
The building burns down.
Like that day?
No, shortly after.
Okay, so tomorrow.
And so the man says, "Hey, insurance company, pay for my building." And they say, "No." And he sues them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that'd do?
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Did the letter say your policy has expired or is expiring soon?
The coverage lapsed.
Okay, it has lapsed. Okay.
It did, yeah. So there was a period during which he was not formally contracted for, and after which he did not receive any bills.
Okay. Did the letter say by this date?
No.
Like
It said your policy will be renewed unless we are notified to the contrary.
So it didn't give like a specific time, like if you tell us by Friday, it was just we will.
Yes.
I think he's gonna get it.
I think he's got a case because that's vague as fuck. You can't just say, if we don't hear from you, because until when?
Well, here's the thing is, in order to be finding something, it has to be found. And in order to renew a policy upon something, there has to be a thing upon that which that policy is renewed. So you can't be like, we will renew. Oh, it burned down. I'm like, I have a letter here that says that you will renew. So give me my money. Like,
okay,
you can't send a letter that says, we'll renew your policy, but, when we feel like it.
Okay, let's talk about reasonable expectations of time. So this is a long time ago. How do I put this? He got the letter. When did the burning happen?
The day after.
It's not 100% relevant. It's shortly after.
Shortly after.
Yeah.
So tea time 2 Wednesdays from then.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is, was there a reasonable amount of time after it was sent for? I mean, I don't know what it entails renewing someone's policy, especially in the old times, because I assume it's not a button. Would they have
In
even
the
had
before times?
Look,
I feel like that
the
might be
letter
relevant.
says we are renewing your policy.
No, it says we will, doesn't it? What is the exact wording? Because I feel like that might be relevant.
Listen, I understand why you'd want to get drill down on this, but there isn't any meaningful difference between both of the things you just said. We are and we will are functionally identical as far as this case is concerned.
Okay, as far as this case, it just sounds like if I am doing something, I'm in the process of doing something.
No, I understand that grammatically there is a difference. I'm saying functionally there isn't.
Right. Okay. All right. In that case, it doesn't matter. You're right.
I feel that by saying that they are, or they will renew, they are renewing or whatever, then they are basically allowing him the faith that his policy is being being taken up again, that he is still under coverage, because they are renewing it.
They've given him that impression, and I feel like they're putting their pen to paper and saying, this is fine. We're going to cover you. I feel like they're in some way breaking their word on that. Or at the very least, giving him a false impression.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this would definitely come out differently today, where, what's it called? The thing you said at the very beginning of this, like automatic renewal.
Right.
Because then it would just, computers would bleep blorp and it would be done.
Right.
But I
imagine it would take...
Sometimes even a bloop.
Yeah.
But like I said, if this is in the before times, I can only assume that it would take a while, like snail mail and shit, and all kinds of things.
Yeah. So where do you guys come down? Guy or insurance?
I'm hoping that he sticks it to the man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the man usually wins.
And
so.
I know I do too, but I just want a little bit of consumer protection here, Leon.
That's fair, but I also feel like this guy's going to get screwed.
If you want consumer protection, you have gone to the wrong country in the wrong century, my friends.
Is there a right century for this?
Maybe
country?
in the future.
Austin.
There's a better one.
It's possible.
Yeah. Okay.
So what this case comes down to is, although their letter was basically unambiguous, and I found this kind of a shitty argument, it does not matter because an offer requires acceptance. The absence of correspondence is not the same as acceptance.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've got a couple dozen spam fucking mailing lists that would like to differ.
Oh, God.
That's true. But legally speaking, you can't send someone a letter and say, if you don't respond, I own your house. That doesn't count. That doesn't mean anything. You have to have an affirmative action to show that you're taking something seriously. So this man who did not answer his mail loses his building. The end.
So I guess it's never too late to change careers, but always read your mail.
I found this kind of garbage because if I got a letter from something official like an insurance company telling me they were going to do something, I would think, oh, they're going to do that thing. But apparently not. So.
Yeah, that's kind of butts, man.
Yeah, it's. I did not feel good reading that case, but it makes sense. Like I see where they get it from. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't come out of nowhere, but it does bother me that a multi-billion-dollar company could just, send out misleading stuff to cover their ass and then not pay. Life, right? Am I right?
Sure.
Guys?
Life exists.
I call shenanigans.
Yeah, I'm looking over some of the criminal stuff, and it's all like, this guy stabbed his wife 146 times. This guy...
With the same knife?
Yeah.
At the same time or, like, over the course of their marriage?
Leon! It's time for me daily stabbing. What are you talking about?
I feel bad about that joke.
Yeah.
Although it is one of the best ones I've ever done on the spot. So we all know I can't improvise humor.
Yeah, we're running a little short on time, so I guess we're going to move into questions.
Sure.
Yeah, because that is what we do on this show sometimes, huh?
I've seen it spoken of.
Oh, gosh. It's like half avocados and half cannibalism in here. What have you guys done? Here.
I have no idea what that means, but all right.
Because remember, people used to send you questions, but then you were like, oh, people send me the bad ones on purpose. So everyone should do it to Austin. I feel like they got bored sending me real ones, and now it's like half my questions are about avocados, and half of them are like, which one of your co-hosts would you eat?
Johnny. Did we already say it was Johnny?
I feel like that has to have come up by now.
Yeah.
You guys would try.
This was old news, and we've already discussed this. Like, come on, bring something new to the table, people.
All right.
And stop talking about avocados.
They can't be stopped. Martin asks, any thoughts on the digital homicide / Jim Sterling lawsuit that just ended? Are you guys aware of this? This actually could have just fit into Law Corner.
I had been aware of it, but I did not know that it had concluded.
It did.
Vaguely.
A couple days ago, I think, or like very recently. So Jim Sterling, video game critic, was sued by a quote-unquote video game developer called Digital Homicide for a number of things, mostly libel. And I guess, hold on, before I get into it, I guess full disclosure, I kind of work for Jim Sterling. I edit Fish Shark Marketing, a podcast he has.
Bias!
Yeah. So I just want to get that out there. This is going on for it feels like years at this point. But he made a video showing off their game, The Slaughtering Grounds, which is... I'm should I even say it?
Now,
yeah.
I'm Austin, shouldn't we also mention too that by no means was this the only product that Digital Homicide had released into the market that had come afoul
of
a particular reception from Mr. Sterling.
I was doing a timeline. It started off one game. He was like, "This game is bad," and they were like, "No, it's not." And he's like, "Oh, I checked. All of your games are bad." And then first they sued him, and then they ended up suing 100 Steam users for their negative reviews. At which point, Valve kicked them off of Steam, which is such a low bar. Like basically with Greenlight, I could get onto Steam with just like a Word 97 exe. Like there's no quality control over there these days. So them getting kicked off is pretty good indication that they're allegedly garbage people. So this lawsuit's been going on for a while, and it eventually, very recently, got dismissed under Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 41, which is dismissal with prejudice, which means it cannot be refiled. It's over. So there's a couple different ways a lawsuit can be dismissed. One of them is without prejudice, which just means like something went wrong, we need to start this over, or we need to refile it somewhere else. This is specifically FRCP 41, which means it's done in rings. It's over.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then my favorite, the Manhattan Slip, where you do it right at the end of the day, and then just go, well, that's it, I'm out of here, so like people can't even argue until like the next work day, which you usually do on a Friday, so that they have to wait the whole weekend, and then on Monday when they come back, you pretend you don't know who they are.
But there's like a cornucopia of things to talk about here, from people trying to stifle critics to like what is libel in the internet age where anyone can say anything, to like comparing this to the, let's call it, white male fragility of our modern media political sphere. There's like a bunch of loose ends here, but what it comes down to is you can just get sued, guys. We could get sued any day.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of the creepiest things about this was apparently he donated to Jim's Patreon in his state of Arizona so that he could sue him there, which honestly probably would not make it past a judge if it ever got to that point. It didn't. They didn't actually go to trial.
Judge would be like, "What's Patreon?"
Yeah. But like that's not, you're not, so there's this thing called minimum contacts when it comes to state jurisdiction. It's not important or relevant really. But I would be interested in seeing that actually be litigated, because I do not think that counts as a sufficient contact to satisfy personal's jurisdiction in Arizona. But the important thing is that he did end up winning, even though he has to pay all his own legal fees, which is a super big bummer for someone who didn't do anything wrong, really. I mean, you mean love him or hate his comic style, that's fine, but he definitely didn't libel someone for their allegedly awful shit game.
Austin?
Yeah?
Is this a victory for free speech?
Considering the government was at no time involved in this, there's simply not a First Amendment issue.
Didn't think so.
Yeah. That's not how any of that works.
We're all winking at each other right now, even though we can't see. So I just want that to be clear.
I just have a very, I'm not winking, but I have a very, very telling grin on my face right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of ignorance around this. I don't want to call anybody out specifically, but I've seen comments on social media and like in comment section where people are like, he should countersue, or like, well, he's, First Amendment, or like none of that is how any of that works.
Yep.
I don't really feel like getting into why, but it's just not how any of that works, guys. So
I mean, digital homicide probably. I mean, they must have had to pay their legal fees as well.
True, and also one of the things this lawsuit started at 10 million and ballooned to 15 million by the end, because apparently the digital homicide they amended their complaint to allege additional damages because he had to teach himself law in order to sue Jim, and then tried to charge Jim with that cost.
So this guy,
he was pro se. He represented himself because no lawyer would take it because his lawsuit was garbage, allegedly garbage. So, my thoughts on that
can we not say it's actually garbage now?
It couldn't hurt to say allegedly. hey.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
It hasn't. We haven't had anything tossed out, so we're still fair game.
All right.
Yeah, I think every week on this show I come out and say, like, look at all of the horrible injustices in the world. And this is one of the times where it's like narrowly averted. So my thoughts are, I'll take it.
So this guy was allegedly a poor video game developer.
Allegedly a jizz monster, yeah.
And then allegedly taught himself law.
Reportedly, he's a trash person, yeah.
So is the lesson really that it's never too late to change careers?
I mean, some people are saying he's a garbage dick. I'm just gonna...
I've heard it said.
Uh-huh.
They're saying, people are saying on the internet, this is a thing.
We're just gonna keep doing that. Let's see.
Dickman.
Brent asks, favorite JoJo opening? I want to hear Johnny's answer. Mine is obviously Bloody Stream from Part 2, which is the most extravagant and fabulous one, but they're all pretty good.
I'm sorry, I immediately went like something else when it was like favorite JoJo opening. I was like, obviously.
Oh no.
Josuke's nose.
Yeah, I bet.
But I mean,
all anime is known for its fabulous opening sequences, but JoJo kicks it up to another notch, especially with like the season finales.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, I'm probably with you. Probably with you.
It's hard to top.
It really is. Because I didn't really like many of the Part 3 openings.
They grew on me, but yeah, at first I was like, "Oh man, this is a total downgrade." I had to pull up I'm pulling up my phone now because I got some amazing texts earlier on this subject that I want to share with you guys. Let's see if I can find them. Yeah, so earlier Cam sent me, Austin, I did not prepare my body for this fucking show. I'm all aboard. And then a screen cap of the part where they do the fucking pose at the end. You know, with the at the end of Part 2, where he puts his hand over his face. He said, and then he says, caption of that, probably the best image on the show. He's only in Part 2 now, but I've convinced Cam to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it is apparently, as he said, let me find it, ridiculously dank, is how he would describe it.
That says volumes without actually saying anything. I told you that I finished Part 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. That's quite a show.
It sure is. It's more show than I'm used to having. At the same time. All at once.
Logan Cooper asks, would you rather be always right but have no one believe you, or always be wrong but everyone believe you?
Oh, that's gross, man.
I'm interested in seeing how Leon twists this in order to make himself lots of money. That's my favorite, like, low-key running bit in the show, is Leon twisting questions to make himself rich. He's always like, oh.
I'm just maximizing
it's like,
my productivity.
You're like, if you could have dinner with any famous person, who and where? And Leon's always like, in a bank vault. Gotcha. Doesn't matter who. I got it. If you could go to any time, I'd go to. First, I would check the lottery numbers and then go back 1 week. Got him, Leon again.
Okay. I'm sorry. What was the question? I was too busy thinking about how.
Would you rather be always right but nobody believes you, or always wrong and everyone believes you?
Always right, but nobody believes me.
That would be demoralizing.
It really
would be. It would be very demoralizing, but I'm sure I can twist that in my favor.
Wouldn't that? It would.
Yeah, you could probably write a couple of really successful self-help books.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it would ruin your show, wouldn't it? If no one ever believed anything you said.
Yeah, but if I'm always right, then I just know the lottery numbers.
See, I knew it. I knew this.
You're thinking too small, Austin.
Yeah.
I'm God now. I mean, you have thought of this in such two-dimensional terms.
Yeah, I like this joke. It's good. I would not be able to do that. I would be incredibly demoralized if no one believed me. So I would probably do the other one. And I think recent.
Yeah, but you would be like a dumb shit person.
Yeah, and recent events have proved that that's really not any barrier to success or happiness.
what would bother me, like what would hinge on my answer in this, is whether or not I would know I was wrong.
Ooh, yeah. The knowing stuff might be
because if I knew that I was right, or I knew that I was wrong, I would always pick knowing that I was right. Always.
Yeah. If this is a curse and I'm not aware that the curse happened, then I don't know what I would say. But if I knew the rules, then I would go with what I said, because then I would, twist it to my advantage.
Because one of those is
if this is like a Jim Carrey Liar sequel where it's like, oh, you can't tell the truth for a day, everything you say is wrong, I'd be like, no.
Right.
Also, you'd find some other way to communicate that. You just like hand people business cards, like, I'm Johnny Maloney, don't trust me, or like do the opposite with whatever I say.
Nothing I say is true.
I've been hexed by witches. Also, it would be like terrifying, trapped inside your own thoughts if you knew that you couldn't say anything true.
That would eat me inside and out. Like I would. Oh God, no.
See, that's why I would prefer to always be right, and I would know I'm right, even if everyone else did not. Because I could find a way to be happy alone. I guess. Although, let me.
There would also be the case that you could put your reliability to the test and be like, "What? You don't believe me? Watch this." Because right and wrong are experimental things. So you can be like, "This is gonna happen." Everybody's like, oh, "He's right." This is gonna happen. Oh my God, he's right again.
Yeah, I feel like that's not in the spirit of the question, though.
No, it's really
Too
not.
Bad.
But
we ruined this question, and I feel like we won. Done. Next question.
I feel like a thing that we probably should use it for, that we know what he brought up, was like if we were always right, if we got that power, the first thing I would do would be like I would just try to shout, "God is real," and just see what happens.
Oh, in your version, you're making reality manifest.
No, well, if I wasn't able to say it, that would also prove something, right? Because if this curse,
if this was a communal power, I think that the three of us would have to dress up in weird, like, ashy, ragged clothes and just hang out in like roving mists, and then just appear to people and be like, "Your sons will be kings," and then like disappear.
Okay.
Have you seen those three dirty-ass oracles who keep going around town and telling people crazy shit? I didn't believe them at first, but it was true.
There has to be a modern update of Macbeth, who are the weird sisters, or like trash cart people. Like they're the shopping cart.
There's always a modern update.
I know.
There's always a million.
I'm just saying I haven't seen that one in particular, but I assume it exists. Also, I just called a shopping cart a trash cart. Here's another.
Well, it does depend on what you put in it, though.
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty understandable Freudian slip. Dark Kent Reltnark wants to know if Leon has any plans for assigning any of us to any charges so that we can help you be Pope. Are you going to give us like work assignments? Are you going to make us bishops? Do we get?
I think didn't I already say that I was a cardinal? Because I mean, if you can just choose to be Pope, then I'm.
We did this.
Okay. I don't remember getting any responsibilities, I guess.
I just thought that was a perk of the church.
Dang.
Okay. Johnny, you are in charge of reform. Yes, we're going to like reform some shit in the Catholic Church. And Austin, you are the guy who tries to bring me down, like in the Young Pope. That is your job. I want my life to be exciting. Okay.
So I get to be your Jafar?
Yes.
I'm just gonna chill out with my snake scepter and plot your downfall. I'm into that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pretend I don't know what's going on from time to time just to keep things interesting.
Yeah, no, look, the Sultan knew what was up. Look at Jafar. Look at him. The Sultan, everyone knew.
I'm sorry, he is dumb as a box of hammers.
I know, but Jafar is obviously the kind of guy who puts something on his resume that's like, can take over the kingdom in a pinch. I mean,
Sultan,
if you
the
need to
Sultan
take
is
some time off.
the Sultan is the worst ruler. I'm sorry, but like some guy is like marching down the street on an elephant. He says he's come from like a country that totally does not exist. And Jafar just doesn't know that. He doesn't know who his neighbors are. He's like, oh yeah, let's let this entire army into my. I mean, it obviously turned out well. It was just Aladdin, but
Dude,
really, it seemed
he had jugglers.
okay.
He also had
I
monkeys.
just feel like he. Oh God. Are we just gonna sing the song, or can we go to the one last question?
Okay, one last question. Funk Dunk asks, how many cats is the upper limit for keeping in a 2-bedroom apartment?
3.
That was quick. Do you have personal experience, or is there some sort of?
No, I'm just saying like 3
law?
cats. Because here, 2 cats is just kind of like, oh, you get one, and you're like, ooh, I spend so much time away from you, and I sort of feel like you could use company. So it's like you get a second cat and be like, they can like chum up and things like that, and then like you get a third cat because you really like cats, and after that, like once you get more than that third cat, it's like. There's no reason for that 4th cat, man.
It's just a lifestyle.
There's no reason. You can't just be like, oh, 3 litter boxes is just, like, asymmetrical.
This requires, like, to me, like, to know how many people are living in this 2-bedroom apartment. Because I live in a 2-bedroom apartment alone. But most people who live in 2-bedroom apartments are living in 2-bedroom apartments because there's 2 people in there. So if there's 2 people, I feel like then the maximum is 4.
See, still, because it's like, because then you get 2 cats and it's like they hang out, but then you've got kind of like one for each of you, And then that third cat is still, oh, we really like cats. But then,
I mean, like 2 cats per person, and then like they form little cat cliques, and the 2 cats don't hang out with the other 2 cats.
But cats aren't like that. Cats, like you get 4 cats, they aren't going to be like, oh, we're the Sharks and you're the Jets, man. Like, cats will just fuck off and do whatever the hell they want. So, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you get 4 cats and they might all still be hanging around with the one person who, like, really loves cats.
Okay. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
There was something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's... Now all I can think about is avocados.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay. So Milo's a real piece of shit, right?